Ever feel like life keeps burning you down over and over again? Good. That means the alchemy is working. I'm Greg Swanson, and this is Warrior Mind Podcast number 724. We will be diving into mental alchemy. In this episode, we're diving into, again, mental alchemy, the ancient art of turning emotional pain into raw, unshakable strength. We're not just talking about theory here. You're going to learn how Hermetic principles, if you've never heard of Hermetic principles, it's basically the universal laws, modern mindset tools, and spiritual grit can help you transmute adversity into your ultimate advantage. Let's turn lead into gold, pain into power, and suffering into sovereignty. Are you ready to evolve? Well, sure you are. That's why you're listening. So let's get to it. So let's do a brief overview on what is mental alchemy. It's transforming emotional lead into mental gold. The premise of alchemy was transforming one substance to another. And it was basically the premise or the philosophy was turning lead into gold. So what we're talking about here with mental alchemy is that emotional lead, that emotional burden, those emotional baggages, but we're going to turn them into mental gold, things that you can leverage and use to create the life you want. These are based on Hermetic laws and modern performance science. Now, Hermetic laws, the 7 universals of the universal laws, correspondence, as above, so below, some of those other ones that I won't get into in this one, but I will get into them in a later podcast. But go look them up and you'll see how those principles can help along with performance science in achieving that mental alchemy. And this is why high achievers must master this for long-term resilience, right? If we let a little issue break us down or a big issue break us down, right, that mental lead, and we don't transmute it into gold, we're going to start building up a lot of lead. And that's going to slow us down. It's going to slow down our thinking. It's going to slow down everything we have. So as a high achiever or someone who aspires to be a high achiever, this mental alchemy is essential in taking what comes to you and turning it into something that can benefit you. So the first stage is calcination. That means burning the bullshit, taking away all that crap that you've been thinking about, you've been repeating over and over again, right? So it's basically the ego breakdown, right? The ego is to protect and preserve, but it hates change. And it's always comparing you with somebody else or comparing this with that. The ego isn't good or bad. It's just, is it trained or untrained? If it's untrained, it can create havoc. It's like a little puppy that pees all over the house, right? An untrained ego. But when we can train it, then we can learn to use it as a tool. But often we don't learn this later on in life, so we have to break down that ego, kind of like a BUDS program for the mind, Navy SEALs program for the mind. We need to burn the crap, take it down, break it down, and rebuild it, right? And this is identity dissolution, right? We tend to identify with what we do. I am a salesperson. I am this. I am that. When we say I am, that's identity, as opposed to I participate in sales. I make my profession at sales. Today I am being a father, not I am a father. I am being a father. Tonight I am going to be a husband, as opposed to I am. Because when I have identity, and when it's the personal identity, it's not as critical as when it's our professional identity. When we say we are, once that R, whatever that R is, leaves, then who are we? If we go, I am a salesperson, and then you get laid off or you're not in sales, who are you? You know, a lot of professional athletes have this challenge. I am a football player. I am a soccer player. I am a baseball player. And when they leave the sport, they don't know who they are because they've attached so much to their identity. So part of this mental alchemy is this dissolution of the identity, which goes hand in glove with breaking down of the ego. And we also want to take a look at this. We want to melt this old mindset away, kind of like melting that lead before we turn it into gold. We want to look at the things that worked, look to the things that no longer work, and kind of melt those away and just put those aside. You wouldn't be where you are right now if what you did in the past didn't work. But it doesn't mean it can help you move forward. It may mean that you're just going to be stuck here like Groundhog Day over and over and over again. So we need to investigate that old mindset and start to melt it away to transform it into gold. So then stage 2 is dissolution and separation. You know, when you melt lead, you kind of take the crap away, or when you're doing steel, you get rid of the crap, but you're left with the hardened substance. And so we want to have this emotional release that is attached with our significant trauma or significant emotional event in the past. And even it could be the past would be 1 minute ago, 1 hour ago, 1 day, 1 month, 1 year. But we want to start to emotionally release all of those binds that are holding us back. And this is all part of mental alchemy, right? We basically want to burn down the internal structure and rebuild it again. But these are how we do it in different stages, so it's not so overwhelming. These stages could take a couple of hours, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, a couple of years. And this is where a coach can come in really handy, is helping you walk through these stages, through this mental alchemy. So we want to look at this emotional release, just not cry it out or get frustrated and vent it, but we want to release it so it doesn't have a hold on us anymore. And then we have this process of radical honesty. Now, this honesty is with yourself. Who really are you? What do you like? What don't you like? Do you make concessions when you really don't want to make concessions? You know, hey, let's go out to eat Italian. Well, I really don't want to eat Italian. Well, we really should. Okay, I'll go out with you. Well, that is making concessions. And I know that's a minor example, but how we do anything is a reflection of how we do everything. And if you start making these concessions and not living into your true authenticity, you are not being yourself. So we want to start to embrace this radical honesty about ourselves, and we want to make sure that we don't take it and project it onto others like, man, that's a really shitty dress that you're wearing, or that's right, we can be radically honest without being vulgar and rude, but we also want to be, more importantly, we have to be radically honest with ourselves so that we can be radically honest with others. And so what we need to do then is also make space for the real you. We look at how many years you've been around. You're putting on facade after facade. It's kind of what the Enneagrams are about, right? We're in this cocoon that we put together so that we are seen in society, but it's not us. It's suffocating us. It's suffocating the real you. So we need to make this space for the real you. And that may mean going out in the forest for a walk. It may be a silent retreat. It may be just taking time to journal and reflect and talk to a coach, talk to somebody. But we need to make room for the real you to start to grow, right? If you have a plant and it's all choked off by weeds, we need to, one, remove the weeds, which is the emotional release. Then we need to transplant that plant into a bigger pot, and that's making space for the real you to grow. So then we have stage 3 is conjunction and fermentation. Hey, it sounds like we're making some homemade beer, right? Right? But now we've stripped away all of this. We know who you are. You know what's going on. Now you want to create your new self, that who you really are, true to yourself. This can take an exceptionally long time because This involves your values, this involves your virtues, this involves your limiting beliefs, your empowering beliefs, your past experiences. We want to take those things and look at what has worked and what would you like to work now. And that creating your new self can take a significant amount of time. And again, this is where a coach can come in handy, like myself, is what does that new you look like? Because here's the thing, when you create that new you will create a new life, and that means a new reality. You'll have new things. So we want to start looking at creating that new self and tapping into your purpose. We are all here for something bigger than ourselves. And purpose shouldn't be confused with passion. Passion is what moves us, what's great about us, and what we like to do. You could be passionate about gardening, about reading books, about that. That doesn't necessarily mean your purpose. But here's a secret is as you are going through this mental alchemy, there's probably something that you went through that you could help others grow through. And that might be a really good indication of your purpose. And again, if you're having challenges with it, this is where a coach comes extremely handy. And reclaiming your power. I mean, look at this, right? You're creating your new self. You're tapping into your purpose and you're reclaiming your power, meaning you're not giving your power away to other people. One, you're not playing the victim anymore, because when we play the victim, we blame, complain, and justify why we don't have what we have. And then we're claiming that power because we have tapped into our purpose and we're creating our new self. And this is my power. This is how I'm going to show up. This is what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And you reclaim that power. So the steps, stage 3 is really, really critical in that shift. As you noticed, the first 2 stages are kind of taking that lead, melting it down, taking the crap out of that lead, throwing it away, and now we're transmuting that molten lead into solid gold. And so then we distill and coagulate, right? This is refining your mind, is looking at your mental strength, the challenge, commitment, control, confidence, refining your mindset, being able to embrace that growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, shifting your perspectives, shifting how you want to see the world. And then you're locking in new habits and perspective, which goes into refining your mind, right? The new habits, what new habits do you want to have to support the life you want to live? And that comes in really handy because it's easy to fall back in habits because they're unconscious. But when we can lock in new habits, like instead of sleeping in to 8 o'clock in the morning, my new habit is I'm going to get up at 4 and work out and go to the gym and go for a walk. And then you can shift that perspective as I am doing this because I am living in my own power. I am being an example for others, or whatever that purpose might come up. But we want to start now locking in new habits and perspective. And you want to become a walking weapon, not a weapon to destroy others, but a weapon to destroy what has been holding you back. You want to look at everything and be critical with your thinking. Is this helping me become the person I want to be, or is this going to hold me back? Now, we can take that to an extreme, right, where we don't have any friends, we don't, we just eat, broccoli and chicken all day long. But we want to have the majority of our thoughts about, will this activity help me? And if it doesn't, you destroy it. Keep in mind that a warrior destroys so that it can create. So we want to become that walking weapon to destroy the things in our life that no longer serve us so that we can create the things that we want to do. So one of mine was, sharing a moment of my pain was I'd gone through some significant relationship issues, marital issues a long time ago, and with that hit into some financial challenges. Well, I used that pain, I burned it away, and I went back and invented myself or reclaimed myself as to who I wanted to be. I wanted to be somebody who hiked, who enjoyed physical activities, who was able to save money instead of spend it. So I took that pain and I used it as a catalyst to create a new, quote, a new me. And it was a wonderful turnaround. In the process of the pain, the meltdown, it was painful. But then I used that pain to leverage it into creating someone that I truly always wanted to be and have stayed on that path ever since. So mental alchemy isn't a trend. It's something new agey that you play around with, that you join a Facebook group and talk about it. It's ancient truth repackaged for modern warriors. And again, warriors destroy so that they can build. If you're in pain right now, that is good. That means something is happening. If you're in chaos, if you're feeling chaotic, that is good because something wants to show up. And that means that you're ready. You're ready for a change. You can keep numbing it out, drinking, being distracted with movies, with TV, with the internet, with Twitters, whatever. You can blaming others or spiraling, or you can alchemize it. You can make a decision that you're going to take this pain and turn it into something purposeful. You can choose to become something stronger, sharper, and more intentional. Don't wait for the next breakdown. Start now. Request your free breakthrough session today with myself, and we can go through how this mental alchemy can be applicable to your life. If you want to see the show notes on this podcast, you can visit warriormindcoach.com. While you're over there, you can find other useful information in the form of podcasts and blog posts. Since you'll be on the internet, please follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all under Warrior Mind Coach.